Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining another video in the Cosmic Towers Science series. And I want to start this video off with a quote of one of the great minds, of the geniuses of our time, Nikola Tesla. So Nikola Tesla long held a dream, which was to create an inexhaustible clean energy source that was free for everyone, because he strongly opposed the centralized coal-fired power stations that just continued to spew carbon dioxide into the air, which then is breathed in by humans, but by all living organisms on the planet. And we all know the effects of that. One of Tesla's most extraordinary experiments was to transmit electrical power over long distances without using wires or cables. And he actually patented this in the late 1800s, and you can Google that patent for yourself, wireless transmission of electricity by Nikola Tesla. And this is a feat that has baffled many mainstream scientists, but as we go further into this series and we consider the subtle realm, scalar waves, longitudinal compression waves, you get an idea of how Tesla was able to accomplish this. Now, unfortunately, Tesla was eventually undone by what he called ignorant, unimaginative people consumed by self-interest, a small group of men that sought to protect their immensely profitable low-tech industries that they had spent a lifetime building, aka the bankers, and in Tesla's specific case, JP Morgan. So we really should have had free energy for the last century, but the bankers got in the way. Now, to put it in the immortal words of Nikola Tesla, he said, "Let the future tell the truth and evaluate each one according to his work and accomplishments. The present is theirs, the future for which I have really worked is mine." And we are now into that future, actually. And I believe that over the next few years and decades, free energy and all the other patents that have been suppressed in the medical field and all these technologies that could really better life on our planet, I think they are just, they're going to become public knowledge because of the shift in consciousness. This can no longer be stopped. So let me go and share my screen. So this is a quote from Nikola Tesla, and he said, "If you want to understand the world, consider it in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration." So let's explore what Tesla actually meant with this. So as we said in the previous video, in order to have a vibration, we need a medium, we need a substance to vibrate. And let's call this the universal energy, sometimes also referred to as the ether. And physics finally no longer has a quarrel also with the essential insight of Einstein and all spiritual traditions that the universe is made of only a single substance. Now, rather than the name, what is important is to agree on the qualities of this ether, of this universal energy. So it can be a little bit challenging because explaining what ether is to others is like trying to explain what water is to a fish, right? We're all surrounded by it and we're actually made up of it. So that can be a challenge because like right under our nose. So the ether really is a single contiguous substance, meaning that it is continuously connected, and there is no discontinuity, and you can really visualize it as a squeezable, squishy jello in a way. Another attribute is that it's compressible, and it behaves like a fluid. It's a fluid-like substance. Also, it stores inertia when it rotates, and in certain geometries, it appears to self-organize and become intelligent and alive. And then also the ether has a very strong density, and this is really an important point that made the light bulb go on for me at least. So what I want to share is something Nikola Tesla said on the ether. What is the ether and why is it so difficult to detect? And he reflected on this matter for a long time, as you can read here. But he said, I think all the contradictions about whether the ether exists or not are a result of the wrong interpretation of the ether's properties. Because I at the same time, I had a hard time wrapping my head around this. How can this gases, like lighter than air substance, create physical density and all that? That I just couldn't wrap my head around this until I read this particular writing of Nikola Tesla. And he says that ether has always been represented as an arrow, like a gaseous form type of environment. And this was an essential mistake. The ether has a very strong density. And this is really important also later in the series when we're going to talk about faster than light communication and transfer of energy, because the denser a substance is, the higher is the speed of the wave propagation phenomena within it. And Tesla said, when comparing acoustic speeds in the air and the light speed, he drew the conclusions that the ether density is several thousand times higher than air density. And for me, that's really like the light bulb went on. So most of you are familiar with sound. So the sound effect is created by a vibration or a pressure wave moving through a medium, in this case, air. But so is light. Light is not a particle, but light is actually the effect we perceive of a vibration moving through a medium, the ether, right? So they're talking about particles and waves. No, it's a wave traveling through the ether, and the effects that creates is what we perceive as light. So let's go into, so that's the energy, the ether, this universal energy. So let's get into the vibration and frequency part of the quote. And I think one of the best ways to visualize and to illustrate this is the work of the Swiss physician, Dr. Hans Jenny. And Hans Jenny was not the inventor of cymatics. He really built upon the work done by his predecessors. And what he did, he built what he called a cymoscope. And what that is really, it's a flat surface like a drum, and he would put sand over it. And then he made it vibrate to sound projected from underneath it. And what Jenny noticed was that as the surface vibrated, shapes started to form in the sand. And what this shows us is the harmonic origin of matter. That matter is a form of energy. And then the frequency at which this energy is vibrating determines the expression of matter, right? So there you have the three components of Tesla's quote, right? We have the energy, right? In this case, we have the ether, and then we have a vibration at a particular frequency. So all shapes in nature are created from the interference pattern of waves, which are giving form to matter. So in the next slide, you can actually see this more clearly. And on this slide, the frequency increases from left to right and from the top to the bottom. And what we can see is that the geometric complexity in matter increases as the vibration increases. So what starts out as a relatively simple pattern will grow in detail and complexity as the pitch increases, while it still keeps its basic theme. And this makes sense in a way that the higher frequency rises, the more informational complexity it can code for. And the more complex the data, the information, then the more complex the form or the geometry becomes. So frequency determines form. And as the vibrational frequencies shift, they move through harmonic gradations within the ether. So the other thing that Jenny's work provides is like a vivid symbolic representation of how the mystics conceptualize and understand creation. the way that from the still, formless infinite that underlies all of reality, vibrational frequencies, sound, or the word for Bible fans out there, how from those vibrations, physical form can be derived. And then when the vibration is removed, the physical form, the duality disappears, and all is one again. So many of the sounds, when rendered visible with the cymoscope instrument, were found to contain life-related geometries. And I put a few examples on this slide. You can see the shell of the turtle on the left, and then to the right of it, you could see different vibrations and how they manifest on the cymoscope, and you can see a direct relationship between the two. The same for the image of the starfish there, and then the pine cone. And the reason I take the time to build these slides and gather these images, because I want you to be able to really feel this versus logically analyzing and taking in all the information that I'm giving you. Because from my experience, when you truly open yourself up to these possibilities, you will have your own experiences, and that's really what it is about for me. Knowledge is just potential, but when you experience it for yourself and you start living it, then that knowledge gets actualized and gets transformed into wisdom. So I'm going to do my best to keep giving you examples of this, or sharing stories with you of how I experienced all these concepts that I'm talking about in this series. The other thing that I will do is I will link some cool videos below, so you can see cymatics with your own eyes, and so you can see the effects of vibration and frequencies on our world. So thank you very much for joining this video, and if you like it, give it a thumbs up, or please leave a comment, and I hope to see you in the next one. Thank you. Bye-bye.